Greetings everyone and welcome to another Defcamp and Melderon TV podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, remember you can listen to a Defcamp Melderon TV podcast on your favorite podcast provider, including Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening on one of those services, don't forget to check us out on YouTube at Defcamp Melderon TV. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at def_mel, M-E-L-T-V. Thank you so much, and keep on keybinding and grinding. Hello everyone, Melderon here, and welcome to another Defcamp and Melderon TV video/podcasts. With me today, I have my brother Defcamp.
Hello everyone. How you doing?
And if you are a old school Defcamp Melderon TV viewer, before the launch of Classic WoW, you may remember a Def Talk we did with a certain special friend we have from Sweden. vXCozmoz is back. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well, actually. Thank you very much.
So, today, we're going to be talking about some interesting topics. We're going to be talking about TBC. That's, if you've seen the title, we're talking about TBC, right? And why we're talking about TBC is, I think a lot of people are, the TBC hype train is pretty big right now. I think a lot of videos are coming out. Would you guys agree about TBC?
I think more people are talking about TBC right now than Classic WoW.
Which is kind of what we're going to get into, right? I think that's an interesting point to talk about. But I think what this is, we're going to be using Classic as an example to better understand TBC and how and the launch and stuff like that. So let's get started. Real quick, just to kind of get people caught up. VX, what's your experience been like so far? Are you playing Classic? Are you enjoying it?
Well, first of all, I have to start from beginning and say it has been too long, my dudes, healing with good feeling Defcamp and Mr. Dr. Shrink Melderon.
Oh, I love it. Healing with good feeling. That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah. And our very own Dr. Shrink Melderon.
Tell me about your mother.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Well, I'm not playing Classic as of right now, actually, but we will get more into that later on. Why? But I have been doing quite well for myself, and I just quit my study, or I'm finished with it, so I'm happy for that.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And just like Melderon said here, this pod will be mostly focused about TBC stuff, but with some, catching up things with Classic as well, because it will all, melt together as we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, it'll all meld around together.
Why it is so why TBC is so special.
Hell yeah, bro. Yeah. We're literally looking forward to. I'm definitely looking forward to TBC.
Yeah. So shall I start?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, start. Yeah.
All right. So from my own experience and honest opinion, TBC is by far my most favorite expansion, and I have always said that TBC minus flying would have been my 100% game from World of Warcraft, but I understand that not everyone feel that way, and I respect that. Many say that, well, you have to have flying because that's how the game was made, and you just had to have it, right? I'm just saying, like, as they were creating it, they could have made it without it, to work, but yeah. In general, it's very good expansion, I must say. So it's just that TBC is so many times smaller than the Classic world. So add a flying to that zone and world just felt it just made the world even smaller, in my honest opinion. So yes, you can't fly in Classic zones in TBC, but still, But yeah, don't get me wrong. I love my Negdewing Drake when I first got it, and after cursing many times as I failed with that horrible flying quest to get one, I was so happy when I finally got mine. Oh my lord! Especially when you failed in the last few yards. Like, oh man, I cursed so hard.
It is an amazing mount, and I got I think it was the onyx colored one. Yeah, and but I definitely get your point because the zone outland obviously is smaller than Azeroth, and then having a flying mount on top of that makes the zone feel even smaller. But such memorable zones, such amazing quests, and I agree wholeheartedly, and I've always been an advocate to this, and I love Classic WoW as well, but for me the most my favorite iteration of the game has always been TBC.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what you said, Defcamp. It's just like I love my mount first, right? But I mean, it was new, it was cool, man. You could fly and everything. People, dream about you could fly, Right. But I really later realized how flying or what it did to the community and game itself. You just fly from point A to point B questing, and it just felt often unsocial at times, and open world PvP almost instantly died on some servers. I know that some won't agree with me, but this is how I and many others felt, especially that guy from Kungen, Kungen from Nilnium, that World Server First Guild, he made a good video about this very subject, actually.
Yeah.
So but still, I can't wait for TBC and why it was so special, because it just became more balanced between classes. It was not perfect, but it became better. Raids and instances were much more fun and so on. And I mean, Karazhan alone is just mind-blowing. That atmosphere with the layout, the music, especially the opera theme, chess minigames, extra bosses. Man, cellar and upper places, I could just keep on talking about that place.
Yeah, not to mention PvP, arena, and so it's filled with some of my favorite things about the game.
What some people may not know, I guess maybe most do, but just for saying it was Karazhan was actually first planned to be for Classic, but there was simply not enough time, so they had to add it for TBC, and some have seen that they also did that Big Trouble in Little China feature in it with the dead bodies hanging upside down, but they had to remove that for reasons.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you look at ATS, the final legendary in the game, the casters, when you click on it, it teleports you to Karazhan. So it's interesting that there was definitely thought about Karazhan being classic WoW.
And not only that, and I just want to go into this real quick and not take too long on it, but Hyjal, if you ever watch, I went back and watched. It's such a good video. Supasoka does a video of him just riding through Hyjal. And Hyjal was such a distinct zone, and it was obviously made for vanilla, right, initially. And Hyjal uses space like no other zone in vanilla. It's a relatively small zone when you go there and you look at it, but it feels so big because you go in this huge circle going up the mountain of Hyjal, and it's so beautiful. And the ruins that are there, and I just think all the time what they could have done with this zone. And obviously the Hyjal raid, right? That's the only time you really can go inside the zone. But if it was its own zone in vanilla, it would have been so amazing to see. And I think it's one of the most beautiful zones in the original Azeroth. If you ever get to go there and explore it, it is just absolutely mind-blowingly beautiful.
Oh yeah, not to sit in an echo chamber, but that was actually well said. I can't agree with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and like I said, since this will be a focused TBC discussion, I just first want to mention some catching up things from Classic, for example, as I said, it will melt together. Meaning I won't go too deep what I did or did not do in the current game. But before I begin, though, I just want to highlight that this was when I was playing the game, so I'm sure it's better nowadays. I just want to highlight that first and foremost before I get into this. I mean, after all the hype and we finally got into the game, it's like many of us had to endure its launch, especially on the EU, which should not happen, because we all heard what J. Allen Crack said during BlizzCon 2017. We want to reproduce the game experience that we all enjoyed back then, not the actual launch experience. And what did we get?
We got the launch experience.
You're absolutely right, dude.
More so than the game experience, I think.
Yeah, and I'm actually sorry to say this, and I'll try to be quick because nobody likes to listen to negative feedback for too long. So, but I will say, like, for some good things, moving on to TBC stuff, but in my honest opinion, Classic launch, many of my friends actually felt the same thing. And again, on the EU, this was actually one of the worst launches. And oddly enough, I don't hear that many people talking about it, so allow me to explain. Wolves of Straynor is actually known for that launch issues with, being stuck on your flight near your garrison and all that. Right. But as long as you kept away from that place, it was still playable to some extent at least, though it took Blizz like a working week or something to properly fix that. I distinctly remember that, but remember, I'm a guy who played WoW since closed and open beta back in the days, right? So and had my fair issues with the bugs and everything from vanilla crashes and disconnect, but still it was still playable. You could at least get in and play it. Classic with so few servers, I mean, for a good while, the entire EU had like what 2 PvP servers at launch. I think you in the US had 3, right?
What were they smoking?
3 PvP servers. I don't know. And just a quick thing, like we warned them. Like people warned them. They're just saying like that this was not going to be enough, and they're just saying that's all we're saying is that there was warning.
Yeah, let's not get into exactly what we mean by that, but let's just say that we saw the numbers. And Defcamp and I were like, "This is way off," and we let Blizzard know it was way off, and they scrambled. And I think a lot of the issues we have today are still repercussions of the initial not enough servers at launch.
Absolutely.
I mean, there could be many other things that I will not touch here, but I kind of feel strongly that one of the reasons why we had this problem with the few servers and everything, the numbers that Blizzard got from all this, let's just get 2 PvP servers on the entire EU. I mean, like I said, what the hell were they smoking,
Yeah.
So I don't know where they got these numbers, and it got me thinking. It's like, how and when and where did they actually get some kind of numbers? It was during the betas. You had to pay for betas. You had to pay for stress tests. You have to pay for everything. And many people were waiting until the last days because you don't really need it to play all these betas and everything. You could just watch a stream or something and get all the information there. So I know for a fact many of my people, they actually waited like last day before they even made a character and everything. They did not want to open the wallet and pay for a stress test for a beta, everything. And that's where I feel where Blizzard got their numbers wrong.
Mm-hmm. And just to reiterate what you said, so when you're saying pay for the beta, what Blizzard basically said is that if you wanted to be invited to the beta, we're not talking about the free public test realms they did of the stress test. The actual beta, people were who hadn't played WoW in such a long time were going and renewing their accounts in hope that they would get a beta invite. If you guys remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big thing, and then a lot of people were turned off for the fact that they didn't get a beta invite and said that, wait, I'm just going to wait until the game comes out. I'm not going to be part of the stress test. And we all know, right? Like when it comes to stress tests, when it comes to PTRs, that it's a very small portion of the player base that actually takes part in these things. So to get a basis off of those numbers, to me, is just completely bonkers, right? Because Melderon and I would see the numbers of these stress tests, this, that, and the other, and we were saying, okay, this is probably maybe 5% of the players that are going to play Classic, something like that.
Yeah.
I think was saying, this is going to be like 50% of the player base, and this, that, and the other. And they were looking at concurrent players, the people who were logging in all at one time. That was the numbers that they were looking at. Whereas Melderon and I were thinking, okay, this is going to be a lot different than the people who are going to be playing at launch. So I don't know what they were thinking about, having this 2-3 servers, and then they would build on upon them from where it was needed. Whatever their reasoning, that's what happened. But that's why we got layering. That's why we got all these things that happened.
Oh
that
boy!
Didn't like. Yeah. So let me. So the story of the EU. Yeah, because it's
all right.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I hope you're both sitting down because this is going to be a treat for you.
I'm sitting
So when we finally got Classic, layering or not, the queue times were horrible to say the least. We're talking about, I actually took a screenshot from this, so this is just not something I'm making up or something. When we started the first week, we had roughly estimated about 14,000 in queue with an estimated time of 725 minutes. That's 12 hours queue time. Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. Granted, those numbers were not 100% correct. It was maybe down to like 10 hours, but anyway,
okay,
10
still,
hours queue.
yes.
Yeah, I remember one day that I had 8 hours queue, got in, played for about 30 minutes to 1 hour, bam, disconnect, and back to another 6 hours queue. It took Blizzard a good while to add something that if you got disconnected, you could sometimes log in right away, right? So they actually fixed it, but it took them a good while. But still, those days were like 14 hours in queue. And as you know, I had my other, in real life shows. So you can imagine, like, it was quite stressful for me for a long time. And since I had my education to do, traveling by train to different town and all that during the weekdays, I just couldn't, it's like, well, I can't just call sick in from work, like many did. I could not do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it would not have been for this team viewer program, which you called remote control login program, I would not been able to play Classic for at least 1.5 months. Except weekends, of course. But we're still talking 1.5 months. It was that crazy, actually, which is another thing that got under my skin. It's like some of my friends who are not in my situations and others on Discord kept telling me like, but Cozmoz, it's launch, it's normal, deal with it, give us a few days. And I was like, I lost my mind sometimes because I knew this was not going to be just a few days because Classic was so fucking, I shouldn't swear.
No, you can swear.
Yeah.
You can swear.
So hyped, and after 3 weeks, they still said the same bullshit. Oh, just wait.
Yeah, I think that's unacceptable.
It is.
So Classic launch, for me anyway, was like, not fun.
No. And you weren't alone. We have a few friends over in the EU, Dunedin included, and a couple other people, talking to like Orkbit and stuff like that. That their experience was just absolutely horrid. And for any game to think to have a 10-hour queue to get in within the first few weeks this lasted. I remember it wasn't just the first couple days. This was the first few weeks at least. You had a lot of people that were just losing their minds, like literally losing their minds over this, because the anticipation for Classic WoW was huge, right? The hype behind it was huge. You have all these people now that are stuck at the gate, right, to get in, losing their mind. And, this all could have been maybe not 100% avoided, right? Maybe not, whatever, but it could have partially been avoided to an extent, I think. If Blizzard were to have taken this a little more seriously, or if the Classic team had a little bit more support or more funding, whatever, through Blizzard, which in my opinion, they don't have enough.
Sure, to be fair, I've talked, negative for a while now, so I will get to the good stuff as well, of course, but I just wanted to have this out of my chest as well as we're talking about this now when I had the chance. Sure, I had a bunch of good guys in my guild and everything, even though we lost some as we switched to another new server because we had to, because those two PvP servers was like, click, full, So, and it got better, but still, it took them about 1.5 months-ish, with only, quote-unquote, 2 to 3 hours queues, but it was still better, right? So it was not 8 or 10 hours, any longer. So then outside of the guild, I got the taste of this so-called amazing quote-unquote community many times, and again, sure, there were some folks that I really remember that were good people, and I befriended them, and we added each other to friend list, and how it goes, and we played again. But I also remember far too many times when I got, I'm not sure if it was just the retailers that I got first hand or hardcore private server best wishes to deal with, because I remember things like when I was in Fairloss, I was doing the Screecher quest, right, which you get in Tanaris.
Yep.
And you have to kill the spirits, talk to them, talk to the bodies, and then by some, I don't know what happened, a troll came by and skinned them before I even could click it, and I friendly told him like he should not do that because he could at least ask beforehand. So I said it in a nice way. It's like, well, you shouldn't do that, mate. Some can take that very offensive. His reply was, fuck off, like I care. I was like, oh, okay. So, and I contacted him, his GM actually, because he was actually going on me for a long time. So I felt like, well, enough already. So the same thing happened when I played my alt with that had skinning. I skinned a mob and they were like nowhere for miles away near that mob. Then all of a sudden came someone up to me and mildly said he went viral on me for skinning them. No friendly talk there like I did to the other guy. So I got a taste of this amazing community at start,
Yeah, and that's why Melderon and I really wanted to work on that classic etiquette guide, right? Because we knew that there was going to be some retail players who weren't accustomed to, if someone tags something that's their mob, that's their loot, whatever, blah blah blah. Let them in retail. multiple people can tag one mob. It's very different the way you do things, and it's much less invasive in those ways. Whereas classic is, it's much easier to invade someone's, privacy or space, whatever. They're like if they're doing something in a zone and they're questing and they're trying to tag people, it's much easier to steal their tags or steal the nodes that they're near, stuff like that, and piss somebody off than it is in retail. But the thing that bothered me was, and I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought people were going to be reporting people like crazy and all this was going to happen. Well, the thing that happened is people would report people, whether for names or cursing at them and doing all these things, and nothing would happen. You report someone for a name that says something, vulgar in it, right? Or racist or something like that. And then 2 weeks goes by and that person's still playing. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You see someone cheating in Warsong Gulch, or you do something else and, you see botters and you report it and nothing happens. And that was the complete opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And it seems like there's no one doing anything about any of this, about any of the harassment that goes on, or any of the names that people have, or
the flag carrier that you couldn't get to.
Right. I mean, they that person that I think they never banned that. Instead of, they did a quick change by trying to make it so that they couldn't go in certain places in Warsong Gulch without dying. But they didn't, to my knowledge, ban the people that were doing this, which is an issue in my opinion.
But so. I just want to make a quick reminder here to our beloved folks who are listening to this. This was before. I'm not talking about now, current, because I guess it has gotten better now. It has settled down. But this was before and when I was playing the game. So I just want to highlight that again, so we don't misunderstand each other here. And and another thing, I know for some of us, myself included, have earlier talked a little bit about, Asmongold, and he lives in his own dream world and able to play 24/7 and live in his mom's and everything. But I must give him credit when he did a very, very good video with his, I think it was called My Retrospective on Classic WoW so far. That podcast was amazing.
It was very good.
Amazing.
Very good. Yeah.
So, and for those who didn't listen to that podcast, I'm not going to, say all what he said, so I'm going to make this a very short thing, what he said, so you get my meaning. Long story short, it was obvious that, it's not the same game as it was 15 years ago. I mean, the game is, the world is, mostly the same, right? The system, but meta is different, the players are different, too many people focusing on the utmost optimized way compared to the other, time in vanilla. And screw enjoying yourself, right? On and on. I mean, we said it many times, Classic is not a race, it's a marathon, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and lastly, all this BS with many people just have an opinion on everyone these days. It feels like, oh, you clear MC too fast, oh, you're an asshole. You clear too slow, you suck.
Exactly.
If you're playing a Red Paladin, you're shitty. If you're mad, if you're playing them, you're an elitist. On and on and on. Yeah.
The Red Paladin part's true, though. Sorry, I just want to make that clear. No, I'm joking. Well, I'm a shaman. Okay, all right, that's a joke.
You just hit on something very, very close to home for VX, and this is
a good bridge in the TBC, because I real quick before you go into that, I just want to say, like, this type of mentality that's happening now, the boosting, dude, you cannot find a dungeon group when you're leveling right now. Forget it. You're not going to find one.
At least on our server.
Because no one cares. I mean, maybe it does on the RP servers, but no one's doing it. Everything's mage boosting. Mages are just like farming gold in these dungeons, and then they're just boosting people as they're going along. This cannot. Something's got to happen for TBC. Blizz, you got to think about this long term. If we want TBC to be healthy, we got to think about how we're going to limit the amount of
XP.
I don't. It's not just that. It's a mentality that's seeping into this game and Classic.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it the retailization. I was talking to one of our guildies before this, but I don't want to call it just that because it's an easy finger to point and say it's retail's fault. It's not.
But it's that same mentality.
It's the efficiency metric. Everyone wants to be super efficient, and I just don't think that's healthy for the game.
I mean, like, because here's the thing, right? And we always talk about the slippery slope, and people would call us crazy and this, that, and the other, right? But if people continue going down this trend and Blizzard sees this, who's to say they might not add down the line, a 0 to 60 or 0 to 70 boost for pay, whatever. I'm not saying that that's something, but like we already see these small things happening, like the extra bag spaces that you're going to get for the.
If you put an authenticator in your account.
And Gray's brought up a good point. That is such a huge leg up at a low level. To have 4 extra bag slots at level 5 or whatever, that's pretty big, right? And yeah, we're talking about something relatively small. However, the effect that it has in the player base over time, these little things, then comes another small thing, then comes another small thing, then comes another
and
small
you have to
thing.
ask yourself the question: why are they doing this? Because they don't want to pay people to deal with customer service issues. That's why they're doing it. It's sad, right? They'll say, "Okay, here's 4 extra bag slots. Now shut the fuck up." That's what they're doing. Let's not mince words here, right? That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with problems.
Well, and then let me just get back to what I was saying. So the issue of, and I say it's an issue because in my mind it is, right? Of, like we were saying about of the player boosting, right? No one, you can barely even sell a green, like a level 30-something green anymore because no one buys, like everyone's just boosting in dungeons, right? So the leveling experience in Classic WoW is so different. I myself, had leveled a shaman recently up to 60. I'm leveling a rogue, and I very rarely can find a dungeon group. Pretty much never can find a dungeon group. And
it's really that bad, right?
It's that bad. It is that bad. It sucks because I love to do the quests, and I like to try to at least do every dungeon at least once. To do the quests there, maybe to get a couple pieces of gear, and I think that's how it should be, right? So I don't know if Blizzard would have to lower the XP for people that are being boosted or what. I don't know what, and then first we had the meta, of course, while leveling of, these cleaves, these dungeon cleaves, right, where you have mages or warriors or rogues, warriors, melee cleave, this and other. And, everyone was going for get to 60 the quickest, get the best gear, got to get the best talents, got to get the best this, that, the other. And that mentality, yes, it was on private servers. Yes, it was on, in retail, but it is something that has become,
It wasn't that bad on private servers.
It wasn't that bad on private servers.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Because the dungeons were harder.
You can still min-max to a point, like at end game, where you have like these really big, servers like Onslaught or Apes that, can still destroy everything, but still have that balance in the middle of, taking Classic WoW for the game that it was, this exploration game, this slow, growth into creating your character, and still have that opposite end of it where you can, min-max and do this and the other.
Yeah.
But the thing is now that the norm has become boosting. The norm has become everyone getting world buffs.
If nothing is done, thank God we don't throw out world buffs, but if nothing is done, I guarantee you people are going to be sitting in Hellfire, like they're going to be in Hellfire Citadel, and then the Auchindoun, and then it's going to be, no one's going to be outside. I'm telling you, if this thing keeps trending the way it is, if there isn't some kind of an effort to put towards limiting this type of meta, most players will not be outside in the world and leveling as the way it was intended.
It's a strong possibility, yeah. If it keeps going like this,
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, we could talk about that, but I think that's,
I do have a few pointers as well to Blizzard in the rare occasion that they actually listen into this or even listen to me here, a lonely guy.
Yeah.
But I do have some pointers for Blizzard as well as we're moving along with the podcast. And well, that said, of course, with the good things here, now we talked a very long time about Classic and negative part. But with all that said, I did enjoy coming back to the game after all these long years, and have to do things from scratch again. I took many screenshots, and generally I just had a blast when I was able to play. Yeah. So I do, like I said to you beforehand, sadly I don't play the game anymore since about 2 or 3 months back. Actually, but that's for my own reasons. So I can just say the guild disbanded, and it was just too much with my education and queues and other in real life stuff that needed to be done. So it wasn't really a good time and mix with it all. I just feel it didn't cope that well. So And now that many already have their gear and gold and whatnot, I just feel like less interested to fully invest myself into the game. And yes, granted, I know what people are going to say about Cosmos. It's never too late to play Classic, and yes, I agree. There are many content creators who have done these videos with the same topic, like, is Classic too late to start? No, it's not. It's not. It's just that I don't feel that hyped anymore, with all that thing that has been transpired, which is a bit silly, of course. So it explains itself, like, what I just said. So I just don't feel the urge or interest to play it right now, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So I think I will wait for TBC and build up the hype again for that, knowing that it could be maybe 1 year-ish from now. I don't know exactly, but and doing the same thing I did with the Classics thing, I can help the community and Blizzard in the right way, and what to expect and how good it can be, or as good as it can get. So, and don't get me wrong, I do envy those who mostly had positive aspect of Classic and had a blast to play. I really do. So all in all, Classic has been a fun time for me until my in real life friends left the game and guild disbanded, and all the other in real life things just was a block for me, more or less.
So I kind of have a question for you, VX.
Sure.
So looking at, say, a TBC launch, right? In terms of what they could do, right? So we know, I'll just say, I'm an advocate for. I want to continue my vanilla character into TBC, right? I don't want to lose my character. I think one of the most important parts of an MMO is continuing your character and your character growing. However, I do see some benefits of starting fresh in TBC, right? Having new characters, starting fresh, and this, that, and the other. So what do you think would be the best option? Do you think it would be, going into TBC with new servers, with transferring servers? How do we kind of fight the issue of not recreating what happened with Classic and having, a clusterfuck of just, no servers available, crazy queues, and like, what do you think is the best way to go into TBC?
With all due respect, can I talk about TBC launch first in its own? Because that was actually my
the launch,
because that's actually what's mixed together with all the things that I just talked about, the Classic. But I have written down this in my little notebook, so I will touch about this TBC survey. I will, and I will answer your question.
Okay, cool.
So the next thing that I had in mind to talk about is actually the TBC launch itself, how to prevent the same disaster, So after my book that you just heard me talked about Classic and all that, how can we try to make TBC launch to be better? Is a very good question, because I guess we will have layer this time as well, or something of that ilk. So I can only hope Blizzard will take notice of Classic launch, and with more than just 2 PvP servers now for EU and 3 for US, because in vanilla we had 110-ish servers just from the EU. I do understand Blizzard do not want to add too many at start, because fearing that servers may become ghost towns, and they never ever deleted servers from my understanding, but they just merged them, right? But still, come on. The difference between 2 and 110 says a lot.
Monumental, yeah.
Yeah, so a common thing some say is once TBC comes out, the Classic and community play base will be split in 2. I say this is wrong, because Blizzard will have systems that will enable people to play both games, and I will touch upon that with the survey shortly. Copy characters, and of course I can be mistaken. I'm not the Messiah. I'm just a messenger. But I feel that the vast majority of players on Classic came from private servers first and foremost. That with some retails have been playing it as well, on and off, and I heard people say even if there were many people from retail leaving TBC, then that would just be a testament how bad retail has become. Shadowlands will be like the last straw before we leave this dumpster fire for good, right?
It's possible. I think you're onto something there. Yeah.
Yeah. So some folks may not be as hyped with Classic as we have been, because some people have been waiting for TBC just to play Blood Elves or Draenites, Paladin, Shamans, or whatever, right? So plus add to the fact, guys, that there are quite few who started playing in Wrath of the Lich King and beyond, and they want to test both Classic and TBC, and some will stay in Classic, some will stay in TBC. And another important thing is, like, what I'm trying to say is there will be coming in more folks for TBC. Hence is why I feel our current player base will not just suddenly do a hard 50-50 split, because we would have spillovers from all different places, you know. I mean, don't forget the fact that there are also some who only supported Classic project in hopes to get TBC servers. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I did not get to talk about TBC. I did not get to talk about TBC sometimes with folks that I really wanted to, but sometimes when I actually got that chance, they just like hush, please don't talk about it. I'm going nuts. I want TBC so badly.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, millions of people have played WoW over of course over these 15 years. Of course, different people want different things. So you should never ever say everything must be as I want. No, you have to take it into a broader aspect.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, I think what we're gathering from this is that there's going to be a lot more people coming to TBC than we had for Classic. At least I think so.
Yeah.
So I really hope that Blizz learned from the Classic debacle. Is that we need more servers at launch, obviously, right?
Well, so
definitely.
That's the thing, right? So if we have more servers, so the thing is, like, that's why, you know, I for one, I think it would be cool if we had, you know, Classic and, you know, like you said, TBC at the same time, and I don't think they would just stop Classic.
No,
I mean,
they won't.
It could be possible where they say, okay, you know, all of Classic is now moving to TBC, and, you know, there's no more playing Classic. It's possible they could do that. However, you know, do you think that they could, when they tried, do you think they would have to just, like, totally get, you know, change the servers that we have now and just make new ones? Or?
So I think they've backed themselves into a corner with one option. I don't think servers can progress into TBC because there are too many servers with horrible alliance to horde ratios, right?
Right.
So let's take Skyrim for an example. You can't. You could, of course, but I'm saying I wouldn't progress Skyrim as a server into TBC because it's going to be an unhealthy server, right?
So you would make it like a new server, is what you're saying?
You would copy characters from Skyrim to another realm. That would be TBC.
Okay.
So I think they're going to have to create from scratch TBC realms,
right,
and then populate those realms with characters from Classic.
Right.
Interesting.
Now, like VX was saying, I think if we had,
and then you do a fresh, fresh Classic.
Right. Now, here's the thing with layering, right?
Well, real quick, hold on. Let me finish the thought. The reason you would do fresh Classic is because you can't leave Skyrim the way it is.
Exactly.
Right? So you'd have to copy characters from the Classic game into TBC servers that are fresh, right? And then you're going to have to re-roll Classic.
Okay.
That's how I think. That's the only logical way to do it.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think that if you want to continue playing Classic, most likely you would have to either re-roll playing Classic because
there's too many Classic servers.
Right. And so that's the thing, right? So okay, so if we basically say, okay, TBC is coming out. Now, if you want to copy your character to TBC, you have to go pick a new realm, right? And that character would be on this TBC realm. Now, what if there's someone out there who says, well, I want to continue playing Classic on the character that I already have.
That's going to be really difficult. That's going to be really difficult.
So, in when you're saying, and I agree, I think that if someone does want to play Classic, they would probably have to restart Classic.
Because there's going to be like all these realms, right? And like, let's say each realm loses 50 to 75% of their population because they all went to TBC.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have to condense all the Classic realms into like 5, let's say, per region, right? Or something like that. And repopulate them. You can't just...
Right. And
you know what I mean?
Because not to mention, like, okay, say if you didn't want to move your character up to TBC, well, you might as well because you're going to lose it either way. Because what's the point of if you continue playing Classic once Nax is already out? I understand if you want to PvP and all, but the most logical thing would be to create a couple servers of Classic that would start from fresh and go and move forward.
Because I don't think they have the capability to merge.
Like I said earlier, some people are just here to play classic. Some players are here even for the long runs to play Wrath of the Lich King. You know, there are many different types of players and people because the mindset they made are different, and you are making a very good points there because and needed points to tell the crowd because. Yeah, I think you're actually spot on. Blizzard will really shoot themselves in the foot if they just take the easy route. So I hope they will do this, seriously.
Yeah, I do as well. I really do.
And I will now make Defcamp very happier because I'm going to touch on the TBC survey now and answer your question.
Okay.
And I'm going to touch this very quickly. I guess most people already know this, but I'm just going to read out the TBC survey the options that Blizzard gave us, right? So option number 1 is continue playing my current classic character on my existing server as it progresses to Burning Crusade expansion with the option to transfer to classic server that will never progress past level 60. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is start a brand new character from level 58 on a new Burning Blade server. Option number 3, start a brand new character from level 1 in the new Burning Crusade server. And number 4, continue playing my current classic character on my existing server that will never progress past level 60 with the option to transfer to Burning Crusade server. That's the 4 options that we have right now, and or none of the above as it was number 5, but those are the 4 asked, what they asked us, right? And I do have my own really biased opinions of this, which I will touch, but maybe you want to, come in for.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking, Melderon, is what we said even in those options? Kind of no, right?
Well, option 4 is kind of that, but they didn't build upon
Specify,
it.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between, copying to me is like a PTR copy. You literally copy the entire character over to another realm, right? So that character would still exist on the classic server in my vision, right? Unless, again, we do a reroll. If you Melderon's level 60. We got done Nax. I want to go to TBC. Melderon and all of his gear and all of his gold, asterisk, we don't know how that's going to work. We have to talk about that too, how it's going to affect the economy, gets transferred to a TBC realm, okay? Now, Skyrim, where I was, do I stay there? Or does Blizzard say, let's just restart Classic, and you can start a new character on one of these realm options? Because Skyrim is trashed. It's gone. It will never work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Agree. I think they're going to have to create new servers for TBC that people would... But here's the thing, right? So we could now create a whole issue of Classic over again if we do this, right? Because... you could have a bunch of people all picking one server and then have what happened in Classic all over again. If we have these people picking these fresh servers, you have all these people go to this one server, the server becomes full, and the server becomes 90% Horde, now it's 99% Horde. What's to stop from all that happening over again?
Well, the only way to stop that would be
progress Skyrim the way it is and continue to keep it the way it is if it's going to end up like that anyway.
Well, do you think it's going to end up like that anyway?
I think there's a very distinct possibility that it could.
Because why? Because of the racials and because of Blood Elves?
You have, in my opinion, even more people wanting to play Horde. I understand. Okay, so in my eyes, the superior faction to me, I think, would be Horde. Blood Elves are not only, a lot of people like Blood Elves. They like the feminine Blood Elves and whatever. They like the male Blood Elves. But you have an amazing racial Arcane Torrent, AoE silence, so good in Arena, so good in PvE as well if you're tanking. I myself plan on making a Blood Elf Paladin to level from 1 to 70. I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, and that Blood Seal is quite OP compared to the Alliance part.
Yeah, exactly. Not to mention the zones. I know a lot of people love, I love Eversong Woods and the whole thing like that. Yeah. Now there's a pretty big following with Draenei. Wanting to play Draenei, Shamans, this, that, and the other. And there is a good, there are some good reasons for people to say that, Alliance does have very good racials as well. You have, Chastise for Dwarf Priest. You have some really good racials and stuff as well. Perception, this, that, and the other. But in my eyes, I still think that the Horde comes up on top. for PvP, at least. PvE, we all have paladins now and shamans. So I am worried that it could become even more horde skewed. And that even if we did create new servers and try to say, okay, and maybe have some kind of limitations, whatever, you would have to do that, right? You would have to have some kind of limitation to say, okay, once the server hits 60% horde, you can't make any new horde characters on the server or something like that. They would have to do that, or else making these new servers would be pointless because they're going to end up just the way they did in vanilla.
Yeah, the horde will basically lay siege to Honor all 24/7.
Exactly. So, with that being said, is it better to just progress the servers to TBC, or do we do what you said, Melderon, make new servers and put some kind of limitations on there to how many horde could be on each server?
So you can do that, right? But here's the problem. If there's more horde players than alliance players total, what happens to those extra horde players? Okay, what I mean by that is
you would deter that from happening by setting these limitations.
Okay, let me start over again. Let's say there's 10 servers, okay? You cap that only a certain percent of alliance and a certain percent of horde can populate that server, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be leftover horde players that won't get a realm, is what I'm saying.
Well, my argument is that hopefully wouldn't happen because you would give incentives.
Oh, I see.
Towards alliance, or and try to maybe incentivize people to play alliance. Like maybe I don't like this at all, but like saying we're like how some private servers do, where you maybe give them cheaper mounts, or you give them a little bit more XP, little stuff like that. I don't like that idea. I like maybe just setting a cap, saying okay, you can't go maybe higher than this amount. And I've heard rumors. I don't know if this is true or not, guys. Like, this is purely rumors. But I heard something about possibly data mined in the future, where people were data mining the PTR, and they heard of possibly rumor. Again, I want to say this. Almost who said this could be completely false, but that there were someone who said that they possibly saw in the PTR faction change coming to the store for Classic. So people could essentially go from Horde to Alliance, and maybe they're saving that for TBC, because I don't know how they would do that now.
How'd you? With no Paladins and Shamans, I don't get how you would do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will actually touch on those things actually as we progress here again into the podcast, and I feel now it's my time to actually answer that question of yours, Defcamp, and also to Melderon, of course. And I think you're going to hear a third option that I don't think that you have heard, or many have heard actually. With my honest opinion, I would actually say option number 3 and number 4 is kind of the best out of those 4. I think 3 or 4 actually is the better ones, I would say. I mean, number 4 I could see to be a popular choice by looking around the web, and it looks to be at the case right now, but things can change very quickly. Right. Because I talk to my friends, even though they quit World of Warcraft, but I show them the survey and everything, and they could maybe be persuaded to play TBC, whatever, right? So you get the best of the two worlds, right? Those who previously played Classic can get to those to go over to TBC for the first time, as we did back in the days, and those who just want to re-roll, they can do that, but they have to be a bit behind, of course, with the level wise. And those who don't want to play TBC, they can simply stay with Classic if nothing changes with the current options. And now, you know me, I do have to say something about option number 3, which I'm sure you haven't heard yet from anyone, which I understand is not that popular or yet, but starting all over at level 1 is something people don't want to do, I feel, because from the part of all your hard-earned gold and gear from Classic and everything, and the class identity and everything. So this is something I do understand, but here's my own honest opinion about this, unpopular as it may seem in the current meta. And please hear me out now, listeners, before you judge me on this part.
Yeah, before you say anything, I just want to say real quick, VX, that I want to say that I think what you're about to say is going to make a lot of effing sense, now that I'm thinking about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. And it also feels the most fair thing to do, to be number 3, to start off from level 1. Those who want to play Palace on Horde and Shamans on Alliance don't have to be forced to be put behind from the get-go. Like, nobody will have an edge with gear or gold or everything. And now comes to the more critical reasons why I think number 3 actually has very good potential. Again, I haven't heard this from many people, or not anyone, I think. Every WoW expansion has one major flaw, and what's that? The previous ones becomes obsolete, right? And with this choice, there is a reason to get back to play those zones again and to feel alive once more. So we're playing an RPG after all, right? So at least at the start, of course it will be Ghost Town eventually, but at least you have a reason to actually, you know, enjoy that world again. And it's there to relive again, right? So, and another thing, this is a critical thing as well. I also see a big risk with letting every single one get into the dark portal at the same damn time. We're talking about tens of thousands of players here. I mean, layering or not, I have a hunch that this will be horrible, especially with mob tags, and again, even more specifically, PvP server, the insane bloodbath that Hellfire will be.
Dude, you're making a lot of sense right now.
Yeah, I'm actually not done.
No, keep going. But I just want to say, like, as I was talking about all the issues, right, I was starting to realize how, because I was totally like option two and 3 are bullshit. I don't want them. But go ahead. I just want to say that you're making a lot of sense. You're making a lot of sense. Go ahead. Yeah.
Some may want this, of course, this bloodbath, but I don't feel it's going to be enjoyable in the long run. Plus, add to all the disconnects and crashes and queues and on and on. I would even recommend to save like Plague Lands to do them at level 58 or something, and do this also earns you more gold as you could be level 70 in like Nagrand or Blade's Edge Mountains, because that means that you will have like both Netherstorm and Shadowmoon Valley to earn even more gold as you will be maxed out, right? Because once you get 70 max level, you get more gold from those quests, and 2 major last quest zones will net a huge income actually. That's just going to be wasted if you just want to rush levels or try to rush with all the insanity that will happen if everyone get a free 58. So but some will do it, we all know that. Some will just rush and don't care about anything. Now a good criticism to this can be like that you could at least go into the dark portal, man, and get the first few quests there for solid green or blue weapons with the awesome TBC stats on it. I agree, sure, but I will stick to my guns of what I just said. So, and there are some of the main reasons I feel it's a bad idea to let everyone get a free 58 from the start. I mean, remember Classic and TBC has a bigger hype compared to back then, even though those were TBC was popular, but it's hard to hide the hype, right? So, I mean, at least, and this is my final note on this number 3 thing, and I will shut up.
No. Good, go ahead,
I mean, at least in Classic, we had, I mean, how shall I put this? In Classic, even with all the problems I've talked about, you were still spread out in different safe zones in the world, right? Now, everyone is in one same hostile zone, unless you're playing on a PvE server, right? But even then, the same thing goes with like having a huge advantage over others, like unless Blizz removes most of the gold or limit gear or whatever, but that's going to upset people even more because people don't want to do that, obviously, because they fought hard for it. So those are some of the critical things that I feel like starting from level 1 actually makes quite much or good sense, actually.
You're starting to make a lot of sense to me. Go ahead.
I want to play devil's advocate here because I happen to disagree, and I just want to tell you why. And I think it does make sense in a lot of ways, but I just wrote some things down. So one of the biggest things that worries me is that if we do this, then people will just go back to dungeon boosting to get to 70 as quickly as possible. And the same issues will happen, and it will literally cause this to happen. So people will, I have to start at level 1 again now. That means I'm going to get to 70 as quick as I fucking can. For most people, maybe not me or you would do this, but most people would I'm going to make a mage first because I know that they're the best to dungeon grind to level 70. I'm going to get 4 mages and 1 priest, and we're just going to sit in AoE all through all the dungeons. So now you have an influx of mages. You have all these people. Those people get the 71st. They start boosting people through dungeons. Now you create this vacuum of everyone giving these gold to these people, and you create this hierarchy of people having more gold than others, and everyone boosting again, just like they did in the beginning, right? So in my eyes, it creates people to want to boost even more because you took away their 60s. Now you want them to go from 1 to 70. Now everyone's just going to be boosting. The other thing is that this was the core difference of private servers that people were looking forward to, was the fact that people were sick of private servers starting over again and losing your characters. It's something that I hated having happen to me. I lost my rogue that I made on private servers. I lost my priest that I made on private servers. I had to do it all over again. And it was a big incentive for me to want Blizzard servers, because I knew that if Blizzard servers came out, I could continue my character and my character would progress, right?
You guys are making this hard for me.
So the other thing is that so everyone, like I said, would would try to boost to 70 as quick as possible, making the meta for the plebe groups. Well, the other thing is, what about all these people who had gold at level 60? Right now, you could say that, okay, you had all this gold, and that's kind of against the fact, because everyone knows that TBC is coming out. Well, people knew that TBC was coming out back in vanilla, right? And people started holding their gold over for then. So I think that argument is kind of not right, because you already had that happening in vanilla. You had people reserving their gold for TBC. If you have people losing all the gold they had saved for TBC, who have 5,000 gold set up for the Epic Mount, it's going to cause a huge pandemic. People are going to get very upset about that. And this is the thing that I think for me is the biggest thing, is that World of Warcraft for me is about my character progressing. It's about my character becoming more powerful. It's about my character growing, and to lose all that character is almost like in effect losing a lot of those memories, losing a lot of those things that I did. People have Scarab Lord. You're not going to be Scarab Lord anymore. People have the mounts that they got. They're not going to have those mounts anymore. People have all these memories and all these things that they accumulated over time, and they're going to lose that. And that's a lot of pissed off people right there. So I think it causes the same issues, because it's just going to cause people to want to just get to 70 as quick as possibly and then just be pissed off, right? Because everyone's just going to boost their way up. Everyone's just going to play mages and whatever they can to get to 70 as quick as they can, and then they're going to go back and make the character they wanted initially and funnel him gold, right?
Can I just say that I want to thank both of you. You both presented really, really good arguments to the point where I am totally lost now.
Sorry.
No, this is really good. This is really good because I honestly, VX, I would have thrown away options 2 and 3 before I talked to you today. But I'm not saying that I 100% am. I don't know where I am right now. I'm totally screwed right now. But I feel like I see the merit in both of your guys' points here.
And you may. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's a hard decision for me.
I mean, you may not believe this, Defcamp, but I'm actually happy that you disagree with me. So that means that we can have a broader discussion about this, right? And no echo chambers 24/7, right? So I'm actually happy that you disagree also, because, like I said, that means that we can have a broader discussion. And because I haven't heard many talking anything about option 3, right? It's always like 2 or 4 or 1. It's like no one's touching 3, and it's like, wait a minute, there are many good reasons why 3 could be good, but just like you said, there are plus and minus with everything, and I'm not trying to tell us like this is the correct way, but that's just like how I feel. But I feel like since I also stopped playing the game, I have kind of disconnected myself from this super hype from Classic while you have been playing this. So for you to say that you don't agree with me actually makes sense, because you have more affection to your character, as I can feel myself playing option number 3 and be happy with it, right? So I mean, there are plus and minus with all of them, so there is no straight this is best,
But I do think that between our both what we think, there is an answer in the middle there is a compromise, there is something that will work for most people, and I think that's why it's so good to explore this and to point out all the flaws and the positives and the negatives, because within us looking at these 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, there's something probably in the middle that will work for most people. And I hope Blizzard can use that to their advantage and say, hey, people do value these things, they do value this, and this could happen again if we created everyone at level 1, and is this going to cause the same vacuum and this, that, and the other? So I think Blizzard needs these.
I think one option would be to level a playing field, and this is how you would do that. You'd have to put a pretty strict gold cap.
I think there should be a gold cap, absolutely.
Like I said, there are plus and minus with each of these options as of right now, and there are parts of each and every one that you could take, and some parts that it's not that good. So maybe we will eventually get option number 5 that is, smeared together with the community. Let's be real here. I said this many times in my comments, and maybe those who read my comments know this, so I don't want to be too repetitive, but we should not blindly trust Blizzard either, because if it wouldn't been for the classic community, we would have 4 instead of 6 phases, trade, lootable trade in dungeons and spell batching, only one language in the entire EU region, on and on. So don't blindly trust Blizzard, because we actually had to fight. We fought hard for this,
Yeah.
So true. I think people underestimate the power of the community's voice.
Yeah, I mean, are we happy that we got Classic from Blizzard? Absolutely. But like I said, don't just blindly trust them.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think people are starting to realize that more and more, and I hate to say that that's a good thing, because I would want to trust a company, right, like Blizzard, when I used to, and I think that the crappy part about it is that I've lost trust in the company, because I see the kind of way what they put as a primary, right? Like even with the 4 item slot thing, like I think people are still under realizing how much of a backhanded, like, here you go, now shut up, that is. You know what I mean? It's a way to silence people. It's a way to make people just, like, get the authenticators, we'll give you 4 bag slots, now we don't have to worry about you guys complaining anymore that your account was, it's sad to me.
And also, like, I think a big thing for me and the VX, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this, is, like, I really do feel like Blizzard looks at Classic and says this is kind of like its redheaded stepchild or whatever. It's like, here you go, this is what you wanted, now deal with all the issues that are there, and like, you guys wanted this, we knew it was going to be a clusterfuck, now deal with it. And the fact that they kind of look at it as like it's not, they just let it do its own thing. Like, they could have so much more people on the team to help with it. I really wish that they looked at Classic and TBC more like it was what it really is, and how much. I mean,
don't forget what they said during the BlizzCon 2017 when they announced Classic, and this is maybe something that people have forgotten already. But just to remind people, it's like, what did they say? This is not a small program. This is a fully integrated project that has the full support of the Blizzard designers team. That's what they said.
What the hell happened to that, dude?
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's quite mind-blowing to hear what Defcamp just said about, and Melderon, of course, like, Blizzard is still treating this as a red shirt thing, or, people can say whatever they want about Classic. It has still been a huge success, and they made a ton of money of it. Period.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the amount of people that came back to retail because of Classic, who haven't played in a while, and now are doing all that stuff that makes them money, like buying shit in the shop, I'm sure is huge, right? And I think the thing is that really boggles my mind is that, like, we have all these issues in the game, like the botting, right? Like the tickets that people put in for like certain things and there's no answer. People have names. I don't want to just say them here, right? Because some of them are very offensive and whatnot. But like, people have names, and there are guild names that are literally like, borderline. I mean, not borderline. They are racist and like homophobic and stuff like that. And Blizzard has done nothing about it. Nothing.
Yeah, which is actually my other topic that I was going to touch actually on.
Oh,
that
good,
was
yeah.
actually that's actually bot and other issues, but I don't want to cut it off.
There's a guild on Skyrim with the word sluts in their name.
Well, but still, it's like.
But how's that allowed?
I know, it's just the way.
I mean,
there's a guild on Skyrim that has the name sluts in it.
Well, okay, listen, I'm not a prude fucking guy, okay? I'm not. You know that. I'm not that kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
But that's not fucking acceptable.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. And
there's kids playing the game. There's fucking you can't if you're a family oriented or a business, you can't allow that type of language. You can't.
No, you can't. Yeah. And just I understand, we're in a whatever pandemic, and I understand that
that's not an excuse.
But I understand the Shadowlands coming out. They're putting a lot of effort towards that. But still, this is getting ridiculous. Like, I was in Feralis the other day because I was like, let me try my luck in maybe getting Edgy's handguards, because in Feralis they have these hippogriffs that are basically the highest drop rate that it's a non-elite, right? So I go there, and when I tell you the place was locked down by hunter bots, so many hunter bots were there killing these guys because they had a higher chance of Edgemasters that I couldn't even get a kill. And I went and I reported each and every one of them, and I go back 2-3 days later, they're all still there doing it. Nothing has been done about it. And these people are clearly bots. Like, it would take a GM to look at them for a second and see that they're bots. And you have no one doing anything, and it's utterly ridiculous.
I even saw that before I actually quit, and we were talking about 2 or 3 months ago, so it's not like something that is just popped up just recently. So, I mean, this is a very important topic that has to be addressed, or it might spill over to the other games with the same problems and other expansions, because, some content creators, I mean, you're going to be astounded with this, and I'm not joking. Some content creators with many subs, even asking for WoW tokens now, and without thinking what damage it may cause. And generally, I wouldn't object if someone has a different opinion than me. That's fine, I mean, we all have a right to have a different opinion. But when I see content creators with like 30,000 subs are telling his crowd that Blizzard should add a token, I just feel like, F it, I must say something, I must do something, I must intervene, So, and I did make my response to those people. There are not that many, thank God, but it has already been out there. They're on YouTube, and of course, out of respect, I obviously won't name those names here, but some folks may know which I'm talking about, and well, that's just how it is, but I'm not going to name them out of obvious reasons. So, I mean, I feel so strongly about this, and many of us do, and I can safely say for us too as well. I mean, did they ever have a thought of what it can actually hurt the game if they add a token for Classic? What's to stopping them from adding it or asking for it more for TBC or Wrath of the Lich King servers, which are in the making? Same thing with bots. If they don't address this issue now, it might not happen with those 2 expansions either, making the game experience far less enjoyable. I mean, WoW token is a legit pay-to-win future, period. Please, guys, understand this. But sure, let's just add a token for Classic and TBC or Wrath of the Lich King and see how the economy will unfold. Immersion prick, to say the least.
There's just too many pieces of gear, like Edgemasters, right? Is an obvious example that if you have enough money, you can just get.
Not only that, I think adding something like the WoW token in Classic is a monumental like that right there. Once you add that, and if people are okay with that and still play it, they can do whatever the fuck they want after that. They can add trans.
Yeah, exactly.
It just becomes, at that point, you cross the line, right? There's a clear line in the sand, and Blizzard has moved that line up and up and up because of with layering and adding these things that people are like, okay, I'm gonna still play. But to me, that is a clear step over the line. There are so many consequences that can come from that, for the economy, for the player base. I mean, so many things that it would affect. Not to mention the just overall the statement that makes. That makes a statement to me that they're willing to compromise the integrity of what makes Classic WoW, and go past that and change the core of what this game is to so many of us. And to me, adding the WoW token is crossing that line.
Oh, for sure. I mean, why farm gold and earn your share to build up a character in an MMORPG game?
Exactly.
I mean, just let us open our wallets and buy everything that we need with that gold. Like, right. I mean, at least, I mean, you know, gold sellers will always be there for more or less, for bad or worse, or mostly worse, of course. But at least if you buy gold, there is a chance that you can get caught.
Right, and that's the return.
But if not, just open your wallet and voila, no need to farm for anything.
Exactly.
Just like you said, crafting mats, gear, expensive recipes, yada yada yada. I can go on and on with this. You know, I can talk for 2 hours about this. You know, I mean, has the token done a good job with retail? Does the gold actually mean anything there anymore? No. So why risk it? This is exactly why so many have been calling it no changes, and it has not to do anything with like every single stone and sand core and bushes on the ground has to be 100% perfect. No, it's the game effing system. It's called damage control for a reason.
Yeah.
Amen, dude. You know, and like, absolutely. And the thing about Classic WoW is that gold in Classic WoW actually meant something. Like, in retail, gold is so fucking easy to come by. It doesn't really mean what it meant in Classic WoW. Having gold in Naxxramas means that you can clear Nax with consumables. And guess what? It's so, like, if your guild can't clear it, that's okay. That should be okay. That's a part of the game, right? Was the exclusivity of Naxxramas, of the fact that it costs this. Or maybe your guild won't be able to go as far and do as much, this, that, and the other. But to me, that is what drives me to want to clear it, to want to do it, to, you know, take the time to get other consumables, to do what I have to do. If I could just open my wallet and make that happen, where is the reward in that, right? The reward for me in Classic WoW is striving, putting all this time and getting something out of it, right? And you just completely bypass that with
effing-lutely, absolutely,
yeah.
You know, yeah,
I agree.
Because you guys know me, right? I've been very vocal and passionate with classics since start. You know, been doing podcasts with content creators, helping you guys out with guides and whatnot, right? Without taking too much credit, because I'm doing this for you actually more than me, because I don't have my own channel. I mean, and I played the game for so long. I just feel like if I see something off, I just have to intervene somehow in a respectful manner, of course. I never, curse people, and call them idiots. I just try to tell them why it's silly, to make things like this. Because the thing is, most of their fans who have like 30k subs, they will give those +1s regardless of what they get, because they're a known streamer, right? I mean, nobody's free from criticism, myself included, of course. So I just say this: enough. I mean, enough with a mindset of quick fixes already. I mean, these things has to be taken far more serious and in depth. And yes, I do agree that Blizzard has taken far too long to realize problem with Classic. We're talking about like 6 months. People have said like there are problems and they haven't done anything about it. But why add more things that might hurt the game or games even more in the long run? You don't have to be in a rocket science for this, I mean,
I totally agree.
Yeah, and the same people who even made that video actually telling me, and brace yourself, they said that rogues, they're actually making guys now that telling their crowd like rogues are terrible in PvE.
Terrible? They're the number 2 DPS.
Yeah, when we both know that they can be top DPSers if you know what they're doing.
Oh, they could be, yeah. I mean, overall average they're number 2, but like they're, I don't even know who you're talking about actually, which is good.
There's a lot of misinformation out there, man.
They're not trash, not whatsoever. So I mean, even though some raid bosses are not, that maybe melee friendly, but at least that video has quite a few more downvotes and upvotes, at least from that guy. And remember, this is from someone who has 30k subs as a content creator. So and another important thing to take away from this, guys, is it will also very much depend on which type of game or which patch we will get, right? Because it's quite known for many of us that in TBC it was basically this: early game it was like caster heaven, and later game it was more melee heaven, especially in PvP, for example. Some really could 2-hit people with really good gear, but so because how gear worked back in TBC and how it scaled and everything. So early on it was caster heaven, and later on it was more melee heaven, I would say. I mean, not to say that hunters or casters were bad. I'm just saying like how it kind of progressed in some scale tipping way, right? So
right, yeah.
So if we are getting the later version, like we said, like we got 1.12 classic, right? We didn't get the first vanilla launch, right? I mean, we got the later. So since we got that, I guess we will get the latest patch as well. Which
2.3.
And if that is the case, then rogues will absolutely not be trash. I can tell you. Early on, yes, they were quite horrible, but the later patches, they were actually quite good. So don't listen to the naysayers when they say like, "Oh, rogues are trash." No, they're not.
Yeah, and the thing is like it'll mostly be the 2.4.3, and the thing is too is like there also are some big differences with the tier sets and with the gear that you get from the tiers. So like in Karazhan, hunters are doing amazing damage because they do very good with not that much gear with a lot of the pre-raid bis. Hunters are doing obscene amounts of damage early on, and then you start to see warlocks start doing amazing damage. And I played on a TBC server as well, and it's nice where I feel like you have these you're down of course 20 you have the 10-man raids like Karazhan and stuff like that, and then the 20-man 25. So it's really nice because you have a spot almost for everyone in the raids, and I feel like there's definitely there might be less spots for some people for like warriors, for example. Like we're gonna have an influx of warriors from classic if they're all gonna play their warriors in TBC. Not like Fury is definitely not what it was in vanilla, right? But still, of course, we might have a DPS warrior there, but maybe that'll be good. Maybe we'll have an influx of tanks now this time around or something like that. But the great thing about TBC is I feel like there's a niche for everyone there. Shadow Priests, can do decent amounts of damage still. They can last through fights. They also give mana back. Elemental shamans. You have bloodlust. You have all these cool things, and I feel like there's a place for almost everyone. In TBC, which is really nice. Yeah.
Like I said, TBC means more balanced things. I'm not saying 100%, but it's more balanced. Some get more things, and some players get not so many things. But still, it's a progress in the right direction, I would say. So, and also something to mention before I forget this. Also, when we're talking about TBC, we also get introduced by, of course, Julcraft, and that's a profession. But another thing when talking about TBC, we get resilience, which is a PvP only stat. So you also have to take into consideration, because I've seen far too many. It's like warlocks are actually stupid good, and at least SLS and Shadow Priest and everything. But don't also forget that you have resilience first, and then once people start to get really good gear, like on Black Temple, so add that with PvP gear or whatever, you start to get very high shadow resistance. So those dots or those ticks from the Shadow Priest that were melting faces are ticking up a bit less, So and hence why I said late game melee heaven.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely, I think TBC is just much more balanced in that way, which is going to be nice. I think a lot of people are going to be happy in TBC more so than in vanilla, playing the class they wanted to play and being accepted. And we're going to have less 25-man raid. You're going to have less spots in a raid, but the chances are you will find a guild, or you will find somewhere where you are accepted and needed or whatever. So, paladins can actually tank. They can actually hold aggro. They can actually, taunt. And they're amazing, like AOE tanks, this, that, and the other. So it's going to be interesting to see some people.
Oh, man. Yeah. When you say that, I remember when I got so effing flamed back in the days, coming from Classic, right? And playing TBC. And we were looking for a tank. And then comes a paladin. And I'm like, seriously? Paladin tank? Oh Lord, not this again. Okay, all right, let's do this. And I was like, I couldn't say anything. I was like, what the heck? He's holding out with just one button.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, they
really?
kick ass at TBC, man.
Yeah, so I really got a big, flat tan on my face palm. Yeah. So that was really an eye opener, and I actually remember I played one paladin tank actually once, and I was like a bit anti-tank because like I don't want to tank and be very slow leveling. But then I realized like you could actually kill like same level mobs like 3 or 4 without almost even needed to heal. And then I respect the red, and I was like 1 or 2 mobs I had to desperately heal every now and then. So it was actually insane to even level as a protection paladin.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to TBC.
Yeah.
And before you ask, I can answer that. What will Cosmos play in TBC? I'm actually undecided. It could be Rogue, it could be actually Shadow Priest or Mana Battery, as they're called.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know which race or yet, but I haven't really decided yet. So, and I also want to touch on one other quick thing before I forget. This is actually a good tip. Some may know this, some may not. There is actually a way that you can actually stop getting spammed by gold sellers, actually, if you know what you do.
I think I know what you mean. Is it the group thing? They invite to group?
Yeah, it's basically what you do. You just press escape, interface, go to game, go to social, and then on the far left, on the bottom of the screen, there's a window there that you can click in block chat invites. Block chat invites. Yeah, that's it.
Definitely do that. Yeah, I definitely do that as well.
Yeah, and since it worked in Classic, I guess or hope it will work in TBC as well. So just a heads up, people, if you don't want to get spammed by gold sellers.
Yeah, and then the other thing, the only way that they've been able to get to me is through mail. And I also recently had someone try to post as a Blizzard employee, and your account has been compromised. Log into this site and put in your password or something like that. And I was like, yeah, good try. And but
it's so fun to see those scammers like, this is from Blizzard, all right. And your address is like 45 million text or letters. Yeah, right.
It was like it was like BLIZZ ERD, like Blizzard.
They'll stop at nothing.
With all the funny icons and everything.
Yeah,
and strange letters and everything. Yeah. So from my part, I'm actually at the ending words. Actually, for my part.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I just want to round off and. I just want to round off and kind of say I think that the point of this podcast is Blizz has to learn from their mistakes and not repeat them in TBC.
Absolutely.
Would you agree, VX?
Absolutely, and that is one of the reasons why we even made this, podcast.
Yeah, I think it is so important that we say, "Hey, Blizz, look, like this is, first of all, let me just say, I appreciate that you did this, that you created Classic, that you listened to us. However, the work is not done there, right? There is still so many things that need to be fixed, and I just." Please wish, hope, and beg that you guys will give it the attention that it deserves and not repeat the same mistakes that were done in Classic.
Yeah, and Blizzard, if you're actually listening into this, please listen to your crowd a little bit sooner this time. That's all I'm saying, because we actually do not want this because we want this. We try to do this because it's going to be better for most, for the game itself. So please try to listen to the community a bit sooner with the number of servers and everything, and the bots issues and everything. So
and if you can, try to break the current metas if you can a little bit. If there's no changes was the purpose of no changes was to make sure nothing crazy happened, right?
Exactly.
And we're past that, I think, thankfully. Now it's time to seriously consider some of the things you could maybe tweak to kind of help the game out and make it so it was more like it was back in the day.
Yeah. Like, sometimes we talk about small changes that actually make it feel more like Classic, or, things that maybe you could do, like, increasing, like maybe armor values in dungeons, this like that, in Classic that we had issues like that. Small things that would in turn make it feel more like Classic. And I'm not saying that's what they should do or whatever. I'm just saying that there are some things I think that can be changed for the better. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this, right, is that Blizzard looking into the future, they have. I mean, they could potentially have a very good future if they, Shadowlands. People are saying it's looking good. I hope it succeeds. I really do. I hope Shadowlands succeeds. But the thing is that TBC is one of the most anticipated doings. As Classic, obviously, a lot of people wanted Classic, but I think TBC, so many people are just really, really, really looking forward to TBC. I have so many friends that just cannot wait for TBC to come out because of the balancing issues, because of Arena. Arena has the potential to become, you have all these big Arena players who are so looking forward to playing TBC Arena again. Utilize the people, the player base, utilize the people that are passionate about this game and love this game, and have the insight to say this is not going down a good route, and maybe put a little bit more time and energy, maybe a lot more time and energy, into making this what it could be, the potential that it has. TBC is an amazing point of this game, and I think can really draw more people back to the game more than ever. So
yeah, I actually, since we're talking about TBC related stuff, I have a stomach feeling that some people might wonder about this. So I actually have a question for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
What class would you most likely play in TBC, and when do you guys think it will come out?
Def, you want to start? Sorry, I know my answers are.
So real quick, I just want to say that my favorite iteration of the game obviously is TBC, but my favorite spec, and obviously I love Priest. I think Holy Priest in TBC as far as PvE is the best it ever was, and the best spec and class there ever was. I love the way Holy plays in TBC.
Healing circle, right?
Circle of Healing is amazing. Finally being able to heal outside of your group with Prayer of Healing, Prayer of Mending, right? You become basically everything that a shaman was in vanilla, but even better in my eyes, right? Because you can do, you have Prayer of Mending, you have Circle of Healing, you have Prayer of Healing outside the group, you have things like, you just have so much utilization, and you are just the epiphany of what a healer should be and what a healer is. Just amazing amounts of healing. There is no limitations to what I can do. I feel like there's a perfect amount of abilities. There's the perfect, you have your little mana fiend that can get out and give you more mana, things like that. So like a little innervate, and little nuanced things that are just really cool. Like binding heal and things like that. And then discipline in PvP. So I ranked pretty high in 2v2 back in the day, and I did that with discipline. Feeling like an absolute tank, like just being able to take so many big hits, putting out some amazing healing. I love discipline PvP. I love Arena 2v2. So Priest is going to be my go-to, and I also played a rogue in Arena back in TBC, and I love sub-rogue in PvP. So I really want to get my rogue up and play him as well. However, I really also want to play a paladin. I want to play prop pally. I also want to friggin' nuke people with Holy Shock. I want to be a Shockadin. And, I love Resto 2v2 as well. It's really cool. Yeah. And then, so those are my three. And when it's going to come out, I'm guessing that it's going to be in a lull for Shadowlands, right? So here's the thing. I think Shadowlands is actually going to be delayed a little bit because of everything that's been going on this year. So I'm guessing maybe we still have over a year and a half for TBC. About a year and a half from now.
Yeah. Can I ask you a follow-up question as well when you said Rogue? Because like I said earlier, I'm considering playing Rogue because I did play it back in the days, but I didn't play it, to its full, extent, with, very good gear and everything. I was decent again, I would say. I did some Arena and had fun with it. But would you recommend someone who is trying to learn Rogue, a bit more for PvP to actually go sub and use daggers, or is it possible for me? It will take a while, of course, but should a Rogue that is more going to do PvP to try to hunt those Illidan war glaives with a good guild, or just go daggers?
So what I would do if I were you is go sub sword. So with the thing is for you want to go subtlety, and you want to be basically with hemo, and you want to use hemo with some really slow, powerful weapons, right? So either maces, swords, The Warglaves would be amazing if you get them eventually, right? When Black Devil comes out. However, before that, you're definitely going to want to go swords or maces, because you want to, while they're in that stun lock, you want to hit them as hard as you can with hemo. So basically, open up the cheap shot, right? Hemo a couple times, get them into a kidney shot, and then try to get an eviscerate or just kill them while they're still in stunned. The most damage you're going to be able to do is by, hemo with those big weapons. So that's what I did. I kill people in Sonic all the time. It's also about that CC that you get. You can Shadow Step, Gouge, or Shadow Step, whatever you have to do, kidney shot. And the great thing about TBC is that your combo points don't go away when you tab target; they stick on the character. So that's something that in TBC I'm really looking forward to.
You mean like double maces or double swords, or like
maces, 2 maces, 2 swords. The PvP weapons themselves are really good. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I did back in TBC. Melderon remembers my guy who was pretty stacked, and
except for mages though, Defcamp, don't forget mages, because if I'm not mistaken, you should never open with a cheap shot. You open with Garrote, right? Because Garrote in TBC actually silence them.
So that's the thing too, exactly. So when fighting, mages are amazing to 2v2, right? Because they blink away, then you want to save your kidney for right after they blink, right? And because you're gonna open up if they cheap step. The thing is, if you open up on them and cheap shot and they blink out of your cheap shot, then you can Shadow Step and then kidney, and they have no way out unless they're going to ice block. So you could do that. So it's all a little bit of a mind game. That's what I love about Rogue so much, is that you have that mind game that you play with your character. So a good Rogue will evaluate the situation and try to do what they can. It's never clear, cut, and dry of what you're going to do.
I think it's time for Melderon to actually...
So I can go on forever with himself.
It feels like he's been drafted. Go ahead, Melderon.
No surprise here. I'm staying with Shaman, and I'm going Elemental though this time. I'm actually not doing Resto this time around. So I enjoyed healing. I enjoy healing, but I don't enjoy it as much as DPSing and tanking. I knew that going in. Healing was not my favorite thing in the game. However, I didn't want to. I wanted to optimize the class as much as possible, and I felt like I couldn't do that if I was Elemental or Enhancement. So what I did was I took one for the team basically, and wanted to make sure that my healing was on par and help the guild as much as possible. However, I do respec every week to Elemental to rank, so I do play Elemental most of the time actually. But in TBC, sorry.
Elemental in TBC was insane, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, it is. So I'm switching to. So it's great in vanilla too. So I'm switching to for PvP. I'm switching to Elemental for TBC. They do a pretty good amount of DPS, but they also are extremely valuable in raids. A lot of their issues have been fixed. Their mana optimization is a lot better with Water Shield, and with Clear Casting has been changed to work when you crit. So if you stack crit, you're actually helping your mana pool out. So it's a lot of fun. So I'm actually going to be doing that. That's going to be my primary. I may dual spec, or not dual spec. I might switch back and forth in the Resto for Arena. I'm not sure yet, but that's what I'm looking forward to for TBC. I'm not switching classes until Wrath, and I think Defcamp knows what that is.
Yeah.
And the big one, when do you think it's going to come out? Your review?
I think it's going to be summer or fall of 2021. That's my guess. I think it's going to be some... Like Defcamp said, I think it might have been pushed back, but I think we're going to get an announcement at the virtual BlizzCon this year, whatever that is, in January, if they're going to do it. I think that's when we're going to get the announcement, and I'm expecting 6 to 7 months out from that. Or 8 months, something like that.
Yeah. And my quick take is Rogue or Shadow Priest, and I think it's going to come out 2021 August, actually. That's my assumption.
There you go.
Nice.
I think we're all aligned on that.
Yeah.
And something that could also be worth mentioning as we're talking about TBC here and Shadow Priest. I mean, in vanilla they were a little bit more frowned upon. Not that easy to get gear unless you got a friendly guild. But for some who maybe not know this, TBC Shadow Priest, don't be discouraged to not play one, because they're actually even more welcome now, because as they give mana back, right? They are called mana battery for a reason. I've actually seen people actually helping their Shadow Priest before some other classes, because helping a Shadow Priest get gear now actually makes sense, because that actually helps healers a lot, because healers get more mana back, right? Because of the damage that they do. So yeah, don't be afraid to level up a Shadow Priest because it's going to be the same thing in Classic. No, they're going to be more welcome.
And it's so much fun. It is so much fun. I love the playstyle of Shadow Priest. It's just, it's amazing. And
for both PvE and PvP, actually.
Exactly. And Undead is, of course, the way to go. So you get that extra dot. That's the way to go.
The trolls are
well,
not like
trolls are good. Trolls are good, but I just love Devouring Plague. It's amazing. So.
But don't forget that in TBC every priest actually get their own one anti-fear spell now, so you don't have to be Undead Forsaken for that.
Yes,
you have
all
two then.
Priests have Fear Ward, but if you're an Undead, you're like never feared because you have the trinket, right? The PvP trinket if you need to use it for fear. You have Fear Ward and you have Will of Forsaken. So, yeah. But yeah, I can't. Just to close it off, I cannot wait for TBC. Blizzard, please, 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 please fix the mistakes that we saw in Classic and let's make TBC the amazing experience that it can be. That's my final thought.
Great. Well, I want to thank VX for coming across the ocean for us again. I really appreciate your dedication to the game, and you always bring a lot of unique perspectives, and I'm just sad we took this long to talk again, but you know, real life happens, and I want to thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, once again, it's actually my pleasure. Even though I don't play in the game right now, that doesn't stop me from helping. And I also want to say thank you, both of us, my Philadelphian brothers from another mother, for being able to speak out to you once. And as I don't have my own channel, but depending on how my in real life situation will be, and since I've already said TBC is my favorite expansion, I could maybe finally start to do that new channel of my own, maybe. But again, no promises. As I said during our Dev Talk last year, it's like I'm not after the money or fame, but you know, to help the game and the community first and foremost. That said, if someone would actually want to follow me, regardless, or how often or not I will upload videos, or heck, even give me some donos, I mean, it would be appreciated. But I did not go a polytechnic education to become a fiber tech and get a huge study loan just to sit and make videos and main income from making TBC videos, though. Right, I mean, just knowing the fact from Melderon and the work that you actually need to edit stuff, you know, to invest yourself to make those videos says quite a lot. But we'll see, maybe. I think I'm actually more hyped to do my own channel for TBC than I actually was for Classic. I can break that up too. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, do it, man. I'll throw with it.
And before I forget, please give those two people, those amazing guys, at least a like, who are also working very hard to make this podcast available, and even with their in real life schedules and more. And if a sub if you want, and follow their amazing stories and videos. And well, I can only say that I'm not going to steal your ending words with Keybinder this time, so I can just say thanks for tuning in, everyone. And this is vXCozmoz signing off from my part at the moment.
Thank you so much, VX. That was awesome, man. But
take it away, Defcamp.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I will say, keep on keybinding and grinding, and we'll see you all on the next Defcamp and Melderon.
Oh yeah.
See. Peace.